there'll be a time when COMEX is going to be like $300 lower than actual physical trader prices for, good, substantial physical purchases. I'm talking like multi-million dollar. Like, I want to buy $80 million worth of gold bullion. What do you have? And you don't turn to the COMEX price for that. There's a lot of games going on, and I just cannot see this system continuing. As for final entry point, I don't really know. But I do believe that we're going to see a wider and wider disparity with COMEX having the finger pointed out at it, maybe with some lawsuits before long. And watch the CME group right now. They're under fire. They might actually have to disband. They should disband because they didn't protect private accounts. So, oh gosh, you just can't find anything that's really clean anymore. And that's why I like the cleanness of gold and silver. I do believe this year is going to be a bit of a rebuild year, recovery year. I'll be honest, back in August and back in July and June and May, I was thinking, well, by the end of the year 2011, we're going to see a $60 silver price, and we're going to see easily $2,000, $2,200 gold price. And I was wrong. I was wrong because I didn't foresee the dollar swap facilities being used to help the dollar and harm gold with leasing. I didn't foresee the disgorge of Libyan gold. I thought all along that the Greek gold would be made available, but I thought it would go to China because they were buying discounted Greek sovereign debt in their bonds. So I got some things correct and I got some things wrong, and it's just really tough out there. So.
It's hard to make price predictions when you have to factor in illegal confiscations and supply added to the market.
Yeah. So maybe why bother? Just sit back and wait for the next event because it's coming. Another MF Global is coming. I got some family and friends who say to me, MF Global kind of changed my perception. I thought you were a bit of a... They give me attitude back, but I've been on this theme now for 7 years, that the U.S. banking system would go bust, that the U.S. would have chronic trillion-dollar deficits, that the housing market for the U.S. would never recover, and I'm right on all three. And these are mega trend forecasts. So I do believe we're going to see our day in the sun with gold and silver. It may take a few more intense criminal acts for it to happen, like another MF Global. I think we're going to see some large financial firms topple. If we do see that event that we're discussing in Europe, where a couple of Italian, a couple of French, and a couple of London banks all go poof, along with a German, and it extends to New York, you're going to see quite a response with gold. What seems to harm gold is their patch of solutions that aren't solutions.
Can-caking measures.
Yeah, they're not fixing anything, but in the process of not fixing anything, they're enabling more crunches to come illicitly against gold. And therefore, I keep coming back to this, and therefore widening the spread between the true gold price and the COMEX price.
Right, and the paper
I have
price.
a joke that I have with certain friends. They say, Jim, I can't believe what I'm seeing with the gold price. And I said, which gold price are you referring to? And they say, what do you mean? And I said, well, COMEX is a paper price. I'm not sure there's a whole lot of gold behind that. Do they have gold in those inventories at COMEX? Because I'm hearing they have almost none. And all the inventory reports for COMEX are false. They're committed gold bullion. They're not available gold bullion. And they play their games with registered versus, allocated, registered, and available. Hey, let them play their games. It's kind of like, here we got core inflation and we got regular inflation, and then we got the we got the jobless rate, but then we got the other jobless rate. Oh man, I'm a statistician, and I like just working through the nonsense and coming up with straight statistics and dismissing nonsensical data out there. There are very few economic data series out there that are honest. One of the cleanest of all, I mean, no, this isn't on theme or anything, one of the cleanest data points out there is what's the trend, how are the changes from year to year, quarter to quarter, for withholding of taxes from payroll withholding taxes. There's no adjustment. It's just plain. It's clean. And it points to recession. We've been stuck in a recession, Doc, for 4 years, ranging between -4% and -6%. That's why there's no job growth, because we're stuck in a recession. Everybody knows it, and the data says otherwise.
I mean, every day you get a report of another 10,000 jobs being slashed, another 4,000, another 15,000. You don't ever, not reading about Boeing adding another 50,000 workers, or
they're shutting down a Wichita, Kansas plant. Boeing is. I go by the individual stories. I got some friends scattered across the U.S., and I talk to them. I talked to one just a couple of days ago, and he's basically ruined. He has a small business. It's ruined. And he's going to have his car repossessed soon. I mean, I'd like to help them all, but I can't. I can't. It's sad. It's sad what's happening to the country. It's collapsing. I fully expect in 5 years that the United States, as we know it, will not exist. It'll be more like 6 territories.
yeah, it is sad, and I think that's why both of us try to convince as many readers or listeners as possible to protect themselves with gold and silver, to protect their assets, and so they can continue to support their family with what's coming ahead here.
Yes, very good. All right, well, that sounds good. Can I mention my website?
Yeah, I wanted to let you do that, and I just wanted to let listeners know that we just started. We're going to be publishing Jim's public weekly or bi-weekly letter. But yeah, go ahead and tell the listeners and the readers how they can access your Hat Trick letter, the subscription service you offer.
Okay. The website is called Golden Jackass, www.goldenjackass.com. It's spelled exactly how it sounds. It's an irreverent name. Actually, I gotta say that my late mother, when I was young, I was insolent. You can imagine me and the difficulties with me in the household and school. She used to call me Little Jackass. Come on, you jackass, get in here. So she just laughed her head off several years ago when I told her that I was starting a website called The Golden Jackass. She didn't believe me until I produced it. On the website, you'll see a public area, and that's where I've got radio interviews like this posted, and I've got a long list of public articles. They go back a couple of years or more, 3 years. I like to put a little quick paragraph what the article's about, and then a link to access it. But if you like what you see and you want more of the same but more depth for information, more depth of the stories, analytic points drawn out, good logical flow, and charts and forecasts, I've got a pretty good record, much better than the usual standard 20-30% correct forecasts out there. U.S. economists are lucky if they get 5% of their forecasts correct. I get, probably at least 60 or 70% of mine correct. I had a forecast, for instance, in April, where I said, look at the Japanese yen following the earthquake of suspicious origins. Look at the yen. It's at 117. I fully expect it to be 130 in the next few months. It did exactly that because they sold a lot of treasury bonds to pay for the reconstruction. I thought it was a slam dunk, easy call. But everybody that I know of in the mainstream U.S. was saying, no, the yen's going to have further trouble as the earthquake has, difficulties in the economy. Just wrong points made by very well-paid people in Wall Street and London. So I've got 2 reports that are the standard fare of the Hat Trick letter. One is the Money War report, and that's changed from a few years ago where it used to be the macroeconomic report, but there's no need to forecast an insolvent U.S. banking system because it happened. And there's no need to forecast chronic trillion-dollar deficits for the government because they're happening. And there's no need to forecast a chronic housing bear market because it's happening. So instead, I changed the main macroeconomic report to a money war report that focuses on central bank wrangling, the competing currency wars, and the effort to destroy the economies by keeping their currencies down, which kills capital, a point that economists do not comprehend. Easy money, low rates, kill capital, raise costs. Just a simple example, if your cost structure rises from all the inflation, then you have to lay off workers because your costs are higher, because your profit margins are diminishing or have vanished. The second report, besides the Money War report, is something that's been going on and being published for several years. It's the Gold and Currency report, where I discuss a lot of different stories behind gold, and like the exchange-traded funds and data that points to their corruption, stories about the commitment of traders and how we're looking like a whole cycle has ended. That's another reason why gold and silver are probably going to rise. The cycle of covering shorts seems to have been completed. And a lot of other stories regarding gold, like the Gaddafi gold and other central bank purchases of gold, and the new, well, it's not new, but it's making news, the Shanghai Co-op organization, China, Russia, and a number of other nations are banding together, and I think they're organizing a revolt against the dollar. A lot of that I cover in the Gold and Silver report, Gold and Currency report, rather. So I got the Money War report and Gold and Currency report, and those are the standard reports offered at a competitive price for a 6-month subscription. And come on down and check out the Golden Jackass, read some free articles, and sign up for the newsletter. So, Doc, that's the offer, that's the deal, and it hasn't changed in price in 3 years, 4 years, and it's doing very well. A number of other newsletters are kind of suffering from the mining stocks, which I do not recommend. Way too many problems with mining stocks. I recommend gold and silver, physical, coins and bars. So, Doc, thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's great to have you, and I'll throw in my 2 cents. For all the listeners, I highly recommend your letter. I think probably your letter and Butler's letter are probably the only 2 I would say must-read subscription services. So definitely highly recommend both to all the listeners. So really appreciate your time and coming on today, Jim, and all of your insights. And it's been a great talk.
My pleasure. Hope to do it again.